Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to the third and final instalment of which model railway manufacturer makes the best wagons. Up today it is Bachmann. So just like with previous episodes, I have bought 3 Bachmann wagons. Let me show them to you. So the first one is the largest one. It is this. It is a 7-plank wagon, an ICI one, which I think looks really nice. Again, I've tried to go with a variety. We have a medium-sized one. This is a 5-plank wagon with W.H. Wallace on the side, which also looks really nice. And then finally, the one that I'm most excited about is this one, the smallest and also most expensive wagon of the series. It is this, the 1-plank wagon in the bauxite, BR bauxite. So, unsurprisingly, knowing Bachmann, obviously, these do have the highest RRP of any wagons I've looked at over this series so far, up to £18.99, which is obviously quite a lot of money. It's crazy, Bachmann, come on now. Hornby's, the RRP of Hornby's was £14.99, so they're £4 more expensive. So obviously I'm expecting to see a proportional improvement on the quality and the detail on these wagons. Otherwise, I won't be able to give the value a good score, of course. Very fortunately though, I bought these at Rails of Sheffield and they did have a bit of a discount going on. In fact, 2 of them, the larger 2 here, cost me £11.95, which of course is less than I paid for the Hornby wagons. Weirdly, like I say, the 1-plank was more expensive. That cost me £12.95. It's, like I say, the smallest and most expensive wagon of the series. I don't understand it. Anyway, if you want to check these out for what is a better price at Rails of Sheffield, I have got a link in the description. For now, though, let's get these out and see just how these shape up, shall we? Before we get started then, here's a brief recap of previous episodes. Oxford are in the lead so far. They received a score of 8.91 out of 10 and they were the cheapest at £10 each. Hornby's did pretty well, but not quite as well as the Oxfords. They scored 8.08 out of 10, and those so far were the most expensive at £12.50 each, although the RRP was only the second most expensive before Bachmann. Obviously, though, I didn't get those at such a discount. Here we go then with the Bachmann wagons, the most expensive on RRP, as I've been saying, but not the most expensive given the retailer price. So like I say, if Rails still have these cheaper, you can get them for a bit better price. Let's take a look at my favourite first then. This is the one I'm really interested in. Don't know why it's so expensive, being the smallest, it makes no sense to me, but we will get this out in just a second. First things first though, here's the end of the box, so if you want to get this one, this is what you need to look up. It's 37-479A. It's a 1-plank wagon, BR bauxite, and with that I think we will get this out. Yeah, what do I expect for the price? Well, quite a lot of metalwork, quite a lot of weight. Obviously the detail has to be above and beyond. I think for £4 more than the Hornby ones, sprung buffers wouldn't be unreasonable to expect. You know, we're talking that sort of level of detail. So let's take a look, shall we? Well, I must say it's only a 1-planker. It does seem to be reasonably heavy. Yeah, that is quite nice actually. That is going to look really good. You can just imagine some sort of load sitting onto that, couldn't you? Yeah, that is really nice. I'll take a closer look at the details in just a second, of course. But for now, the 1-plank wagon looks really nice. I like that. Okay, next one then. Should we do the medium-sized one next? Alright, here it comes. So there it is, as you can see inside the box. It is a really attractive looking wagon, isn't it? I do love the look of that. Just from the outside of the box, the decoration seems to be really excellent. Let's take a look at the end of the box then. So this one is 37-072. It is a 5-plank wagon, as I say, and it's the W.H. Willis and Company one. So we do have other 5-plank wagons to compare this to in the series. I believe at least one of the Hornby ones was, and I can't remember now whether an Oxford one was, but we'll find out. It will be interesting at least to compare the weights, won't it? I'm expecting these obviously to be pretty reasonably heavy. Although the question is, do we really want a lot of weight on wagons? Because then obviously locos will struggle to pull them. But you want them to be reasonably hefty, and this one does seem to be, actually, yeah. I can't say anything right now because I haven't measured it, haven't weighed it rather, but yeah, this does feel pretty heavy so far, it must be said. So there we are, yep, a very beautiful wagon, nice metal wheels which appear to be painted, which is pretty cool. Yeah, can't wait to get a closer look at that one. So there we go, that is the 5-planker, looking very good. Last but not least then, let's go with the large one. This is the ICI 7 planker, very, very large, quite tall, very, very tall, in fact, compared to that 1 planker I was looking at. Here's the end of the box then. This one is 37-115. It is a 7 plank wagon, ICI, Chance and Hunt Limited. There we go. And again, what a beautiful livery this one is. The liveries are very, very good on these, it seems, although certainly no better than the likes of Hornby and Oxford. And obviously, yeah, for the extra cost, I wouldn't say the livery is to blame. Not really, anyway. Okay, let's get this one out. I've got a bit of plastic inside this one. Must have come off of the packaging there. Okay, so this one looks really, really nice. I like the sort of muted colour on this one. It looks a bit more realistic that way, doesn't it? Yeah, very, very nice. The decoration looks top notch, and so does the detail, really. Quite impressive is that. Okay, very nice. So we have all 3 wagons. We have the 7 plank, the 5 plank, and then the 1 plank. As you can tell, they're really, really good. I mean, the quality feels really great. We'll take a closer look at these then. I will weigh them and give you the weights of the various wagons, and then later on we'll get them tested and see if they perform any better than the Hornby and Oxford ones do, for the higher price, of course. Okay, let's give that a try. Okay, so I've started with the ICI 7 planker, and I've started with that because obviously I had a Hornby and an Oxford 7 planker, so it makes for the best comparison, I would say. Now, I've already indicated that because the RRP of this wagon was £4 more than the Hornby one, and goodness knows how much more than the Oxford one, either way it's a significant amount, I was expecting to see a big difference in the quality, the weights, the detail, the features on these models versus the Hornby ones. Unfortunately, I'm really not. Now, don't get me wrong, these Bachmann ones are a little bit more refined in some areas. For example, on the insides, you can see it's all really, really well defined. There are none of those injection moulding marks or anything on the inside, which were present with the Hornby ones. But then when you look elsewhere, the level of detail is much, much lower. For example, on the underside here, you can see there's no moulded detail whatsoever. It's just Bachmann's logo and no detail. Well, the Hornby and the Oxford ones had a fully detailed underframe. This one doesn't. Now, yeah, is the underframe a big problem? No, of course not. No, most people aren't going to look underneath there. But why on earth does this need to be so expensive if some aspects of it are really quite basic? The weight, let's talk about the weight. This 7 planker is 1 gram lighter than Hornby's, so Hornby still wins on the weight. It is quite a bit heavier than the Oxford. The Oxford 7 planker weighed 23 grams. This one weighs 26, but the Hornby, as I say, weighed 27, so it is not heavier than Hornby's as I first thought it was. Is it a bad wagon? No, absolutely not. The decoration, as you can see, is really, really good. I can't really fault that. As you can see, all of the lettering and the various numbers and things are all applied really, really nicely, particularly those tiny little tampo prints on the underframe there, which is quite good to see. The wheels are also pretty impressive twofold, really. First of all, because they are painted. As you can see, we have the white rims there. And second of all, because the moulding is really, really good. Equally good, I would say, to Hornby's. The separately fitted parts are pretty good as well. We have the separately fitted brake rigging here, which is pretty good. I don't think it's metal, feels like it is just plastic, but it looks the part, doesn't it? And we've also got these nice realistic looking buffers. They're not sprung or anything like that, but they are at least made of metal. The couplings are pretty basic. We've got NEM couplings, obviously, and they are pivoted, which is nice, and they spring pretty well as well, so I'm not expecting to see any problems with those. They're quite simple, but they are fit for purpose, I'm sure, and we'll test them later on and see. The bodywork is about the same as Hornby's, it must be said. Most of the details are just moulded on. There's not a great deal of separately fitted work going on there, which would obviously justify a higher cost. Nothing as far as I can see, really. Yeah, generally speaking, it's not that impressive compared with Hornby's. It's perfectly adequate and more than acceptable, but I'm not seeing anything at the moment to justify the higher price. Let's take a look at some of the others. So here it is, the 1 planker. I think my favourite of the 3, just because it's very unusual. Now, I love this. It looks really, really good. But again, the value for money here seems to be really quite poor. It's very light. It weighs 23 grams. That is the lightest wagon I've weighed throughout the whole series. Obviously, that's not a major criticism because it is very small. But again, given the price, I would have expected a little bit more metal work, perhaps on the underframe. Some of the parts that would be metal in real life could maybe have been die-cast on the model in order to justify some of that price. The body is not that great on this one. As you can see, we do have quite a lot of those ugly moulding marks on the inside, and it did matter with this one because obviously the interior of this wagon is very visible because of how low the sides are. Although we do have 1 or 2 nicely moulded details inside there, and you can see that the inside has been separately painted. All of the actual decoration is just fine. You can see all the numbers and lettering going on there. Really fine, no problem at all with those. And a lot of the other features are quite similar. We have a similar amount of underframe detail, perhaps a little bit more on this one, but generally speaking, it is quite basic. We have the same couplings and the same sort of muted metal buffers, but they are metal, I can confirm that. Yeah, the level of detail is fine, but there's nothing about it that's majorly impressing me, and that's what I was expecting, frankly, given the price. Yeah, they look great. If you need a one plank wagon, I can recommend this, but if you're looking for good wagons for a good price, so far, Bachmann isn't looking that great. Let's take a look at the 5-planker though. So there's the 5-planker. The story is almost identical really to the 7-planker that we've already looked at. Same sort of features, same sort of weight really. This weighs 25 grams, I believe it was, which is about on par really. The decoration is very good. You can see we have the W.H. Wallace and Company on there, really, really fine. Painted wheels, we have lots of painted elements on the underframe, really, really good, similar amount of detail. But we've got some sloppy paintwork going on. For the price, that is completely unacceptable. Look at this, big splodges of paint, really badly applied on the end there. And look at all this splattering going on the side of the wagon. How did that get through quality control? This is not a weathered wagon, by the way. There isn't supposed to be any mud splattered on the side of this. That's not very good. I probably would have sent that back if I'd have noticed that when they first came. But it must be said, that is the first time throughout this series of 9 wagons I've looked at from the different manufacturers that there has been an obvious flaw in the paintwork there, and it is from the most expensive of the 3 manufacturers. I'm not very impressed with that. Besides that though, I must say, yeah, the wagon is fine. As you can see, the detail's great. The underframe, again, is very basic. There's nothing really in the way of moulded detail on the base of the wagon. But besides that, it looks perfectly adequate, as do all 3, really. I can't really complain. Well, I suppose I could about that paintwork. But besides that, yeah, they're perfectly adequate, really, really nicely made for the most part, but not worth the extra money, I wouldn't have said. For the rails price I paid, they're absolutely fine. Okay, let's get on to performance then. We'll get these down onto the track, check how freewheeling they are, and of course, make sure that they stay on the track. Let's do it. So as you can tell, I've gone with a bit of a Bachmann themed train. I have the Webb coal tank there, which is a lovely 062 loco ready to run, and I've set some other Bachmann wagons up alongside a Bachmann pillbox brake van. For now though, let's get these wagons onto the track for the first time and find out how freewheeling they are. So let's go with the 5-planker first, shall we? Pop that on. Ooh, straight away then I am seeing that this is not a very freewheeling wagon. Remember the Hornby and Oxford ones? Yeah, they were rolling for England. This one, push it as hard as you like, it stops very suddenly. Not very good. How are the couplings? Well, the couplings seem to be at the right height, which is good. Let's see if the ICI one's any better. Yeah, that one's slightly better. Okay, let's see how the 1-planker is. Ah, now that is the best of them all. That one's really quite loose. Anyway, I have put these wagons, I can now reveal, through the hill test, and the results were not very impressive. So first one then was the 5-plank wagon. That one was just absolutely pathetic. I needed to push it and it just wasn't going to roll down the hill whatsoever. Really, really bad. The 7-planker, again, needed a push. None of the Hornby or Oxford ones needed a push. That one got as far as the passenger footbridge. Not very good at all with that one. In fact, the only one that performed reasonably well was the 1-planker. I still had to push it, which is unlike the Hornby or Oxford wagons, but it did then go on to reach a reasonable distance, about the same as the Hornby ones did. Yeah, the wheels are not very good. In fact, people have told me in the past that the way that Bachmann make their wheels is somehow different to the Oxford and Hornby way, and they're not quite as good. And I would agree, yeah, they don't seem to be as freewheeling at all. Really quite unimpressed with that, actually, again, for the money. Okay, let's get the Bachmann Webb coal tank started then and see how they handle the track. Here we go. So yes, unfortunately, if you choose Bachmann wagons, your locos won't be able to haul as many of them. Slow that down a bit, not too fast. Okay, so on the middle line I have another Bachmann train, a Bachmann loco and some Bachmann coaches this time. It is the pannier tank mixed up with some 40th ambulance train coaches and railway children coaches, which I think is pretty cool. And next I thought we would hear from some of the other wagons that have been on this little showdown. So here are the Hornby and Oxford wagons being hauled by the Hornby J50 backed with a Hornby Toad. Okay, let's catch up with the Bachmann wagons and see how they have been performing. So unfortunately, in my opinion at least, these wagons were fairly mediocre really, and also fairly disappointing given the price. Yet sadly they had to be better if they were going to be worth the massive RRP, and sadly they were not. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, of course, my word is not law, but having had a really careful look at the Hornby, Oxford and Bachmann ones, I think it is clear that Bachmann come out last, unfortunately. So here are some of my ratings then for the Bachmann mineral wagons. I thought the level of detail was largely very similar to Hornby in that most of the body details were just moulded on and not separately fitted. The underframes were reasonably good. The one thing that these didn't do that Hornby ones did though was to have the moulded underside detail, which I have knocked off half a star for. The performance, similarly, I've given 3.5. Unfortunately, they are not that freewheeling. The wheels do not seem to be very good at all. The slope test was really quite pitiful, actually. It's the worst I've seen. Given the price, not that good. However, they do seem to actually stay on the track and run reasonably well, just don't expect to be able to haul as many of them as you could, say, Hornby or Oxford wagons with the same loco. The quality overall is pretty good, but again, for the price, I would expect a little bit more weight, perhaps a little bit more metal work. And on that one particular wagon where the paintwork was all off, obviously that was not acceptable. So I've given that a 4 star, not too bad. Value for money though is really where this falls down, unfortunately, with an RRP of £18.95, which is about £4 more than the very similar but better quality Hornby wagons. Unfortunately, yeah, that is not on. I've given that 2 stars. Bachmann, of course, are completely at liberty to price their models as they wish. However, if other manufacturers are consistently able to produce better or similar products for considerably less money, then Bachmann need to be prepared to start losing out to the likes of Hornby and Oxford. So unfortunately that is not such a great score of 6.33 out of 10. I think if they were priced more reasonably, if they were sold for a tenner each, I would say yes, for a budget wagon they would be fantastic. But unfortunately, given the expectations set by the high price, that score stands. Into the ranking it goes then, the logbook, there we go, 8th, just below the Hornby clerestory coaches, which means that overall Oxford win, Hornby are a close second, and Bachmann unfortunately are last. Let me know in the poll though, what do you think? Do you think I got that right? Which manufacturer would you have chosen as the winner? Do let me know. So overall I would say they're decent wagons, you know, they do what they say on the tin, they're well detailed, they're good quality-ish, but having compared them to the Hornby and Oxford ones, they don't cut it, they just needed to have been cheaper. It's the same old story. So there you have it then folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Quite interestingly, the outcome was pretty much exactly as you said it would be on a poll on a previous video. So very well done if you called the right answer there. For now, thank you very much for your company, thank you very much for watching. I will see you very, very soon. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll be back with you very soon with some more videos. Alright, cheers everybody, see you next time.